Welcome to Majority Villain. Just a heads up, I probably will drop a couple F-bombs in here without even realizing it. And normally when I do the podcast, I edit it out a lot. I do a lot of post-production stuff, so you don't hear me saying things like, "Oh, I don't even know if that's true. Let me Google that." But today I just want to send something out very raw and real, and I hope it resonates for some of you. I'm flabbergasted. I just spent all evening. I worked probably 24 hours straight, close to 24 hours straight, in Tübingen. I'm living in Germany, and I was with the university's campus TV, and we interviewed people before the race. There was a big watch party. Germany, there was like 1,000 people that showed up to this tiny little theater to watch this election results come in. And of course, the night as it went on, fewer and fewer people were there. We stayed till about 8 o'clock in the morning, at which point there was 50 people maybe. And it was extremely, extremely difficult to find Trump supporters. This is a university, so it's probably already at a disadvantage for that, but to find like a far-right voice that represents people. But it was overwhelmingly supportive of Clinton, even though there was a large sentiment that she's also not a great candidate. She was not a great candidate. There is so much that could be said right now, but it's so hard to even imagine what the hell just happened. My girlfriend was mad because I didn't text her to let her know what happened because she was working. And I said to her later, like, I'm sorry, but it was such a bizarre series of events. So, they hadn't really called the election officially on the television. And then Podesta comes out for the campaign, from the Clinton campaign, to say, hey, go home and get some rest, come back tomorrow. That's a really bizarre thing to say. And then Trump comes out and gives his victory speech anyway. I assume Clinton really did call to concede to him. My guess is she was extremely shocked. I'm not going to chalk that up to like an overflow of emotions or anything. She's Hillary Clinton is more is more man than woman in some respects. She's an incredibly strong person in that sense. But I bet you today it was really hard. But that's not really what I want to talk about. I didn't support Clinton, and I didn't support Trump, and I did support Jill Stein. Jill Stein made zero impact. The Green Party basically didn't show up at all, and the criticisms that the Green Party shows up every 4 years and doesn't really do a lot of the groundwork in local elections is a very real criticism. Criticisms about Jill Stein in particular are fair. But people who voted for Trump and people who voted third party this election cycle, maybe those who voted for Gary Johnson or those who just stayed home, are so tired of those status quo politics, which is what this podcast is about. Status quos are for suckers. They are. And there's no doubt that the people who came out for Donald Trump feel a very, very real frustration. And my guess, and I won't be surprised to learn that a large number of those people who supported Trump voted for the first time in maybe decades. That's something we will learn as the days roll by. But do not blame. First off, don't blame third-party candidates. That's so stupid. That's so dumb. And that's so anti-democratic to blame third-party candidates. First off, Jill Stein had absolutely zero impact on this election whatsoever. Gary Johnson had a slight impact in places like Florida, but Trump swept. He swept up in most places. This loss for the Democrats, they need look no further than the mirror. They put up a very troubled, problematic candidate. They could have done a lot better with Bernie Sanders. This is not about Bernie Sanders, and that's not what I'm trying to do here. But they're missing the ship is leaving the port, and the Democratic Party is missing the fucking boat. For the last 20 years, a lot of people have been talking about the utter, indisputable, inevitable destruction of the implosion of the Republican Party as they move toward an aging white male demographic. And there's reason to criticize that for sure. But what we thought was going to be the GOP's Frankenstein turns out to be a monster who's got a lot of friends. And they don't see him as a monster. Or maybe they do see him as somebody who's destructive, but is willing to, they're willing to watch that chaos ensue in order to see some kind of change. The people who came out and voted for Trump, the ones that really pushed him over the edge, yes, you're going to have the people who show up every 4 years or every 2 years even and vote no matter what. That's true. But that demographic of especially Rust Belt, people who have been pushed out of factory jobs, people who see Black Lives Matter coming up, but then are wondering, what about white lives? Do those matter? You may not agree with that mentality. You may not agree with that line of thinking. And you may say, yeah, but it's not the point. That Black lives really, it's an issue. Or Native Americans, why are we spending so much time on that? I'm not defending that. What I'm saying is if you don't acknowledge that hurt and that emptiness in America and in large swaths of rural United States, this isn't going to get any better. It's going to continue to be a problem if it goes ignored. Now, I think a Donald Trump presidency is a disaster. And as an expat living in Germany, I'm embarrassed. I'm really, really embarrassed. He is a reality television show host. Making no mention of all the specific ridiculous things he's already said and done. There is no end to the reasons why on the surface of things he should not be allowed to hold this office or shouldn't be allowed to represent America. But he will be. It's done. I'm just so shocked we're still having this conversation. Now, I know a lot of people are having this feeling like maybe I need to leave the States. Some of that's just dramatic, but sometimes with somebody who calls Mexicans rapists and says we need to murder the families of Islamic terrorists, and have you want to start labeling people what religion they are, where they come from. That's been done in history, and it never ends well. If you think that's a good idea, get your head checked. It's not a good idea. But neither is leaving. A lot of people are concerned about Governor Pence and his record, the VP elect, and his record on women's rights and LGBT, and it's startling. It's startling. But the answer is not to leave. The answer is not to flee. The answer is to organize. The answer is to get angry about it, but to do so in a productive manner. A lot of these people who came out and voted for Trump, they will go home. They will have a good night's rest. And then they will never, ever be engaged again. This was it for them. This was their Super Bowl. That's not all of them. But if you continue to ignore that population, if you continue to ignore that hurt, it won't go away. And you cannot blame people for their hurt, for their pain. It's inhuman. It's inhuman and it's unpractical, and that is exactly why Hillary Clinton lost. When Hillary Clinton said half of Donald Trump's supporters are deplorable, they embraced that. I didn't realize this until yesterday, but the term, the donkey for the Democratic Party was when Andrew Jackson was called a jackass, Jackson jackass, and he owned it. And they put the jackass on everything. That's exactly what the deplorables did. The adorable deplorables. You can only push people so far before they will bite back. Now, if people are truly liberal, if I want to be a good liberal, I don't just say, well, fuck them and fuck what they think. I have to say, where? Where did that come from? Why does that hurt so much? What motivated you to look past so many obscene flaws? Hurt, pain, fear. Every war we get into is money out of our pockets. It's money away from infrastructure. It's money away from jobs that could be done in America. Democrats, listen to that. Hillary Clinton has a long record of supporting a lot of those wars. She thinks solutions come from war. She's not as concerned. Not as concerned about the size of banks and the way that Wall Street influences politics. And I know a lot of people who are hardcore Hillary supporters will say that's not fair. That's just the way it is. That she has to play like that. Does she? Is that what we've come to? That we have to support those people? That we have to support that system, that way of doing things? I don't like Trump one bit. And I'm terrified and embarrassed about the prospect of the inevitability of President Donald Trump. But I've said this before, and I will say it again, that I believe wholeheartedly in my heart that the neoliberal policies that are put forward by people like Hillary Clinton, where the money in politics is just, well, it's just, that's just how it is. That attitude creates Donald Trumps. That's what it does. Is the Republican Party innocent? God, no. But let's be honest. Few people in Washington have their hands clean. Thus another appeal why so many people came out and supported him this election. While I'm afraid that we elected a monster, I believe that Hillary Clinton would have kept us sleeping, because we would have all been under the illusion that everything was okay. And we all know it's not. Electing Donald Trump could be our wake-up call, could be the way to save us. Now, you could just say that everything I'm saying is bullshit. Go fuck yourself. Shut the fuck up and turn off your goddamn podcast. Nobody gives a shit what you're thinking anyway. But why? Why? Why should I? This is the only voice I have. This is the only voice you have. These are the only ears you have if you're receiving this message. Are you frustrated with it? Because you should be. You goddamn well should be. You should be upset that we had to choose between these two assholes. Is one moderately better? I guess. One's a little bit more presentable to, that I introduced to my parents, I guess. But neither one of them are grade A candidates that any of us would want to have in a dream world. Oh, but this isn't a dream world. Yes, but that's the fucking point. Everything has gotten so goddamn far away from us. This is our fucking America. This is our Constitution. This is our country, our land. And it doesn't get better by continuing to do the same fucking business as usual. Status quo politics. Status quos are for suckers. You know who follows the status quo? Losers. To borrow from President-elect Trump. That's what fucking happens when you keep electing losers. If you're upset about what happened, do something about it. Now, you could go out, you could get angry, you could do what I'm doing. You're venting in a room alone, the lights all off mostly, and just pissed. But you could start to fucking network. Reach out to those people. You've been hurt by this? So have I. Oh, you've been hurt by that. I didn't realize that. These two are connected. These issues are related. Oh, okay, look. Now we're fucking communicating. Now we're networking. Now we realize that these issues are not just my problems. They're shared problems. And when we come together, we have just as much power to change it. Now look, I'm going to level with you, I'm going to be honest with you, and I don't get to do that very often. That sounds worse than it is, but I've been seriously considering putting this podcast on hold for a while. Just taking like 3 to 6 months to just figure out how to do things. I'm overworked. And I feel like a lot of times I'm putting out the same material. And I don't feel like I'm often giving you my best. And believe me, the reason things come out so slowly on this podcast is because I refuse to give you garbage. Because my level of requirement, I've set the bar at least high enough for myself that I feel like it's worth giving to you. I will not steal your time. But I need help. I need your help. And we can all help each other. We can all help each other. That's what it's about. That's what makes America great. Not some billionaire who promises to bail us out. We can do this. And when we come together, we have the power to get money out of politics. That's not a crazy dream. There are really good groups working on those goals right now. We do not want a society that is ruled and operated and maintained by a billionaire elite class. That is bad. That is very bad. If you are in any way motivated to do something about it, to change the way things are, if you feel optimistic about the opportunities that lie ahead and not miserable about the status quo that is today, if you are not paralyzed by what has happened, but instead you feel a burning sensation that you know means that you've got to fucking do something about it. I implore you, I beg you, write to me today. Let's do something about it. Let's move forward together. You want to make America great? Let's fucking do it. Greg@majorityvillain.com. Write me. I'm waiting for your email. With love and solidarity from Germany, I'm Greg Haddock. This is Majority Villain. Status quos are for suckers.